welcome back, or welcome for the first time to the Media Pro Wanna Knits YouTube channel. I am Kristen, and I am here pretty much every Saturday talking about knitting, mostly, occasionally some sewing and crochet. And today what I'm going to be sharing is the traditional year-end roundup where I tell you about, quickly, everything that I knit in 2024. And then at the very end, I'm going to tell you about this new pattern that I have just published, but I did knit it in 2024, so it counts. And we'll talk a little bit about that. So if that sounds like it would be of interest to you, I hope you will stick around. Okay, 2024 somehow has come and gone. It's 2025. Just incredible. So, like probably many people, I didn't knit as much as I wish I had in 2024. I didn't meet a lot of my goals, or maybe any of my goals. But I did finish a fair few projects, so I'm going to be sharing them with you today just to recap the year. I will start talking about other people's patterns that I knit during the year, and then at the end I will talk about my own patterns. I did publish 4 new patterns in 2024 and then just did this one. So it'll be 5 of my own design projects that I will be talking about. So first, on the kind of more boring end, are 3 pair of socks that I managed to finish in 2024. All of these are just plain vanilla socks, but striping yarns, so they look a little bit more interesting. And these are all nice and clean, but they've got an awful lot of cat fur or dog fur on them, which is annoying. All right, so 3 pair of socks. These are Vesper sock yarn. The colorway is Sunflower. It's very 70s. These are, I want to say, Nomadic Yarns, and the color is Evermore. And then these are my Peyton's Patents Croy socks. I had never used Peyton's yarn before, or that may or may not be true, but I'd never used the Croy socks before. And I've been really happy with these. So having tried out a new, very reasonably priced sock yarn, I did want to just comment on that. Again, these were just a self-striping pattern. I really like the stripe. You can see it's a little bit marled. And these have held up really well. So, there's a little bit of pilling, a little bit of wear on the heels, but overall these have been pretty sturdy. So the place where my socks usually wear out is along the ball of the foot, where sort of the base of my big toe is. I don't know why. I'm sure that says something about my gait. I don't know what it might be, but that's another story. That's where my socks usually wear out, and I really don't see any wear there at all. I didn't actually check the other ones. Not much on these. A little, though. These, so far, also pretty sturdy, although I think I finished these most recently, so that I've worn these the least. So this is just a basic vanilla sock. If you are looking for a basic vanilla sock pattern, I do have one that is available for free, and I will link it in the description box down below. It is sort of to go along with my Learn to Knit sock series that I did earlier this year. It is a toe up and top down, just plain sock formula. So managed to finish 3 pair of socks. All right, another fun project from this year was the basset hat. I actually knit 2 of these. They both look almost identical, so I'm just showing you this one. So I knit one for my husband, which I finished in about October, and that one was done with Gilead, Durham Natura Gilead, held, say, in the Sage colorway, held double with Amano Yarns Uma, which is their silk alpaca lace floofy yarn. You can see I've done some reorganizing here. So that was held double with not this color, but this yarn, which is a 37% baby Surrey, 37% super kid mohair, 26% mulberry silk. This one is the Gilead, same color, Sage, held double with a Knit Picks mohair silk. What's it called? A Loft is their silk floofy base. So this one, if you watch the latest episode of the podcast, I think it's here, I attempted to sew my dad a shacket for Christmas and failed spectacularly. So I went ahead and cast on a hat for him. Obviously, I haven't given it to him yet. I just finished this. I finished this a few days ago, but this is it ends up being it's knit on a relatively small needle for the weight of the yarn that you're holding because you're doing two strands of the silk mohair or Surrey silk and one of the Gilead. So it ends up being pretty thick on like a US 8. So this took like 3 days to dry, but it is done. And the only difference between this hat and the first one is that I put I-cord tassel strings on my husband's, and I didn't do that to my dad's. The only thing I need to do with this one is to tack this part up. It is staying up there better than the one I did for my husband. Do I want to put this on and ruin my hair? All right. So yeah, this stays up there pretty well on its own, but I'm going to tack it up anyway, as you can see. This will be nice. My dad has really gotten into golf the last couple of years. And if it is even close to warm enough to play, he is out there playing. So he does have a couple other hats I knit him, but I think this will be probably warmer and better and sturdier. So Basset hat. I really liked this pattern. Very easy to follow, nothing really fancy here. I did do the same thing on this one that I did with my original, which is rather than picking up the trim and then sewing it down, I picked up the trim and then picked up from the body of the hat and worked a 3-needle bind off all the way around the hat because I hate hand sewing. Another long languishing project that I finished this year was my Amelie cardigan, which is sort of hard to show, but this is a pattern by Mochi Knits, and it is knit with, I'm trying to remember which way I did it. It's knit with 3 strands held together. And I think I did 2 strands of lace weight alpaca with 1 strand of Surrey silk, but it may have been the reverse. At any rate, it is very light and very drapey. Normally, I would not do an all alpaca yarn for a sweater, but since it was being held double with the Surrey silk, the silk is much, much sturdier and gives a lot more structure and stability to your garment. So I went ahead and did that. The original pattern does have a full button band. I almost never button my cardigans, so it just didn't seem worthwhile to bother with it. So I just added 1 button at the collar. It has these kind of balloon sleeves. I wore this the other day. It's so warm, but it's so light. So I really love this one. It is so soft and drapey and just lovely, lovely to wear. And then the other long languishing sweater that I finished is the one I'm wearing. This is my Isle pullover. This is a pattern by Brianna Mason. I knit this with Fiber Company and Make Aran, which is obviously an Aran weight yarn. It is a 50-50 wool alpaca. It is nice and warm. It is very pilly. That's just kind of how alpaca works. I haven't done any de-pilling yet. I usually do that at the end of the season when I'm ready to pack my sweaters away. So I'll just stand up a little bit so you can see. It does have these nice, they're very long cuffs. You can see the pilling all under here. That can be doubled over. And it has this nice columns down the sides of the arms. And I will say the first 2 or 3 times that I wore this, the neckline really itched me, was itching. It's not bothering me today. So I don't know if it's just kind of getting worn a little smoother, what the case may be. But yeah, I don't know why that was, because the yarn seems very soft, but for some reason the neckline at first was a bit itchy and now it is fine. So this took me a whole year to knit. I cast on my birthday in 2023 and I finished on my birthday in 2024, but it has been a lovely sweater. It is very warm, not something I'm going to be wearing year round, but it is 40 degrees right now. And we are expecting snow this weekend, so it is it is plenty cold enough for this sweater here today. And then of course, I don't want to forget my emotional support chicken. I did jump on the bandwagon of this year. This is Isabel Allende. Um, and I finished this, I think maybe in the summer or early fall. And she has just been perched here in my studio since. I used some stash yarn for this. Mostly, this was Patton's Classic worsted or something, this marled yarn. This was I don't even remember what this was. I bought a bunch of single skeins of yarns to try out a couple of years ago. And it's one of them. And this is some Knit Picks Wool of the Andes, and I think the yellow is as well. So if you like stuffies, if you find the concept of an emotional support chicken funny, certainly if you have kids in your life that would enjoy this, this is a relatively easy pattern. It's the annoying part is at the end you got to seam everything up. So you you basically knit it kind of like a spatchcocked chicken, and then seam up the tail and the undersides, which is annoying. But that's kind of par for the course with stuffies. You have to seam stuff together. So she has just been sitting here. I don't expect that I will be knitting any more of these, but I do like to have her here. And then for some summery knits, I knit myself an outline. I think it's an outline tee, or is it an open edge tee? I can't remember. So I'm almost positive it's an outline tee. This I used a very nice cotton linen, maybe has some viscose or something in it, a little bit from Hobby Yarn in the summer, and this lovely marled, it's called like Sea Breeze or Ocean Breeze or something like that. It's very oceany. And the fun of this pattern, if you're not familiar with it, is from Jessie May. And the openings here and along the sides are created by intentionally dropping stitches. So it's really fun to unravel them at the end. This did come out, that's not true. I may have accidentally shrunk this a little bit in length. It's still fine, but it could be a little longer. So it's cotton linen. There's no reason not to put it in the dryer, except and linen generally is fine, but the cotton may have shrunk a little bit. So as I said, it's fine. I can definitely wear it, but I would not mind if it were about an inch or two longer. And then the last project that I just finished up, like maybe actually on New Year's Eve, is the Hilly Hood. I don't have it here because my son is currently wearing it. I did knit it for him. I didn't quite get it done in time for Christmas. I will put a photo in here. This is of me making him try it on and him saying, it's itchy. It's merino cashmere nylon. It is not itchy. Child is testing me. But I did just finish that up right after Christmas. May really have been New Year's Eve or maybe the day before. And he had expressed an interest previously in having something like this that would cover his head and neck. Once I actually gave it to him, again, he said it was itchy. He also thought it looked kind of like something the royals in Saudi Arabia have been, see, when you look at pictures of them, they've kind of got like a headdress on. He thought it looked a little too much like that. I told him it was just a hood, and nobody's going to make that connection. It's not something he has to worry about. So again, that is the Hilly Hood. That is a pattern by Ann Wenzel. It only comes in one size, and I just knit him that one size. He's almost 12, and he's not going to be a little kid. He's my husband is 6'3", so it is maybe a tad big on him now, but it will not be forever. And I used Little Fox yarn Vulpine DK. It used almost 2 skeins, maybe a skein and a half. So it was a lovely yarn to work with. The pattern is lovely. It has a lot of Italian bind offs, and then it has like very specific instructions for the Italian bind off in each section. And I feel like it was kind of overcomplicating it a little bit. If you know how to do the Italian bind off, you just do the Italian bind off, but whatever. Other than that, it was a lovely pattern, and it is a very nice hood, and hopefully, it will not be itchy when he wears it this weekend with our coming snowstorm. And then the last thing that I knit in 2024 that was someone else's pattern is my Betty and Judy Lodge sweater. So this is a pattern by Poison Girls. You can see it on you can see it on Ravelry, but you cannot buy it on Ravelry. You have to buy it from their website. No big deal. And I did finish this in time to wear for Christmas Day. The yarn I used was wool of the Andes. It was really soft, so it was easy to wear this right next to the skin, which is kind of this style of sweater. It's supposed to be pretty close fitting. And it does have a little keyhole at the back, a little button there. The little loop that I made is too big, and I can easily just go in and fix that, but I haven't done it yet. Ultimately, so this pattern specifically said to steam block, presumably because if you don't and you wet block, the red yarn will run and ruin the white part, which I understand, except that eventually you're going to have to wash your sweater. So what are you supposed to do? But I sort of did a combination. So I pinned it out on my blocking boards. I sprayed it with just a mister until it was damp, but not, soaked enough for the colors to start running, and then stretched it out a little bit and repinned it and let it dry there. And then before I unpinned it, I did some steaming to finish up, neaten up some of the puff shoulder and smooth out the color work, which is a combination of stranded and intarsia. So I love having this. I love how Christmassy and kitschy and 50s style it is. I would not knit another one. I hate doing this stuff. This intarsia color work, it drives me crazy. Not the color work, the intarsia. It just doesn't look smooth enough for me. I mean, it looks fine from here, but if you get up close, it's not great. So I definitely don't think I would be knitting another one, but I do absolutely love it. And I wore it on Christmas, and I think it is so cute. All right, so I think that's everything I knit that was someone else's pattern. And now I will do a little self-promotion and talk about my own designs. So designing is no longer, my job, but I still do it occasionally for fun. And I did release 4 new patterns in 2024. So the first one was this top, Orilla, which was a kind of late spring, early summer tank top piece. This is worked in the Knitting for Olive cotton merino, which is a fingering weight. I can't remember what the exact blend is, but it's got cotton and merino in it. I don't know what the balance is, and I don't have it here. So this features this dip stitch down the front, cords to tie it, and this is what the back looks like. You can see it has an A-line shape, and the cords, they're attached on the back, but in the front, they run through this casing here, which makes them adjustable. Like if you wanted to sort of ruche up the front, you could do that. So that one I released, I don't know, maybe in the early summer. I am really looking forward to getting the chance to wear this one again. By the time I released it, we were already getting pretty hot and humid weather here. But so maybe April, May, I'll be able to pull this one out. The next pattern I released were the Swallow Falls socks. So these are not, super fancy or anything, but they are worked in a sport weight yarn, held double with a merino silk. So you can see maybe that they're very, very floofy and fuzzy. And they've just got some kind of slip stitch cables, and they are all over rib, so they're very flexible. They're designed to kind of be slouchy house socks, not socks you're going to wear with shoes, because they do have a little bit of an oversized fit, particularly in the leg. The foot, you still want to work that with some 0 to negative ease, so they're not slippy and slidey. But the leg is definitely designed to be a bit oversized, so you can slouch them down and fold them over. I have actually not been wearing these very much, and I don't know why. I did have to dig them out of a basket, so maybe just because I didn't know where they were. They are clean, but I don't know what they were doing in there. So this was a collaboration with Hobby Yarn, and I think that came out in August. The next pattern I released was a mid-season tee. So this is a t-shirt pattern that has this fun braid at the shoulders. As you can see, it has a nice drapey, oversized A-line shape, a little cropped. And I worked this in a fingering weight yarn that has cotton and alpaca. So it's not, despite the fact that it's a t-shirt, it's not something you want to wear in the heat of summer. It's certainly not going to keep you warm when the weather gets cold. It's really designed to be for the mid-season time, September, October. It just has a tiny little cap sleeve on it, and then the sleeves are also finished with this kind of braid. So I did get a chance to actually wear this a number of times before, the weather got too cold. And it was, when I released it, it was not still super hot around here, which it can sometimes be hot here until like November, just, yay, climate change. But it wasn't. So I can't remember the name of the yarn. Yes, I can. It's Camellia Fiber Company Flax Fingering. So it's an alpaca linen, not an alpaca cotton. Alpaca linen. So it is nice and breathable, but you do have that alpaca that's giving you some warmth. So not a summer tee, but definitely for the spring and fall, kind of in between seasons, late spring, early fall. That was the idea for that one. And then my last pattern was just, I believe, at the end of November, and that is the Sugar Frost hat. So this was also a collaboration with Hobby Yarn, and this pattern is created with the main yarn. The dark is a worsted weight, and then this is a, kid silk, or I think it's a kid silk. So you're not holding them together, you are alternating them to create this little slip stitch, almost polka dot like pattern. And then, everybody likes a pom-pom. So I have been wearing this hat a lot. It is warm, but it is not like overheating. There we go. So it's a little bit slouchy, and I really like the way the colors worked out. Perfectly seasonable. I try to do my walks outside, and since I'm trying to keep up a good pace, I can sometimes get a little too warm if I'm wearing a hat. But this one has been pretty good so far. I'm warm, but I'm not overheating. And I love a little pom pom. So those are all the patterns that I released and knit in 2024. And then the last thing I'm going to share with you is a new pattern that I knit in 2024, but this pattern just came out on January 3rd. So this is a Dickey. But some people might call it a collar or a cowlet or any number of things, but it's a Dickey. And you can see that it has a collar and kind of a tapered front like a shawl. And this is the back. So much, much shorter in the back, no sleeves. And this is designed to go under your coat and stay under your coat. I have always found it challenging to wrap up shawls around my neck and get them to stay tucked under my coat comfortably, neatly, looking nice, and then staying that way. So this kind of solves that problem. It's not going anywhere. It's not, you don't have a lot of excess material in the back that's going to get bunched up. The front tapers, so you can kind of have it, tucking down in the front of whatever the neckline of your coat might be. Um, or you could kind of pull it out to be over the front of your coat if you wanted. Um, just depends on what kind of coat you have. So this is called Mufflement. This is knit in worsted weight yarn. It is worked in the round from the top down. It has a really nice, I think, shoulder detail here. I don't know if that focused in or not. I'm hoping. Did we focus? Are we focusing? So I'll find out when I edit it. So it has a nice shoulder detail. And it is worked in this all over sort of mock rib pattern. There is nothing super complicated about this. It's all increases and decreases. And, you know, a 1x1 rib collar. And that is pretty much it. But I think it serves an important purpose in making wearing a scarf, cowl, something under your coat more comfortable and less troublesome. So, as I said, I just released this on January 3rd. It is worked in Knitting for Olive Heavy Merino, which is a light worsted. Gauge is not super important here, though, because you are knitting it from the top down, and then you are just increasing this shoulder until it hits like right here. And then you split. And so your stitch count's not super important. You are going to knit it until it's the size that you want by trying it on, so you don't have to worry about that too much. You could change the yarn. It's very easy to make bigger or smaller. You could work at a different gauge. The important thing is that you like the fabric. So I wanted this to be, you know, a pretty dense fabric. I believe this is knit on a US 7, and the sort of mock rib is a little bit squishy and giving you some extra sturdiness there. So since I released this pattern, and I will put links in the description box down below, and I recently did the video on winter knitting trends, I was thinking it might be fun to host a knit along for Dickies. Not just this one, but any Dickey pattern that you might like. I'm not really sure if I have like the critical mass of viewers or subscribers here on YouTube, though, to make that, you know, a realistic idea. So if you are interested in doing a knit along for Dickies, leave a comment and let me know that's something you would be interested in. And if not, we'll leave that for when we get a critical mass of followers over here. One of my New Year's goals is to bump up to 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So, you know, if you are enjoying this channel, please tell a friend. But regardless, I am very happy with this pattern, and whether you want to do a knit along or not, if you are interested in the pattern, you can follow the link in the box down below and grab the pattern for yourself. All right, so let's see if we can tally things up. We've got one emotional support chicken, one Dicky, 3 hats, 4 pairs of socks, 3 sweaters, and 3 tops, and then 1 hood. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, I think, finished projects. That's not terrible, I don't think. It could have been better. A lot of them, as I said, were things that I started in 2023. I would like to have more sweaters, particularly because the Betty and Judy Lodge sweater is not something I can be wearing all year. It's pretty much a December sweater, which really means I've only added 2 sweaters to my collection. And I also did kind of just weed out some older sweaters that I wasn't wearing anymore. And I would like to have more sweaters. I did up my sock drawer, which is nice. I think 4 patterns for someone who is not, you know, a full-time knitting designer with a capital D is pretty good. I should knit more for my family, but when they say things like it's itchy or, you know, related commentary, does not make me want to knit for them very much. We'll see. Maybe I'll do better this year, but there we go. I think 15-ish finished projects from 2024. Thank you so much for joining me for this roundup of 2024 knitting. I will probably be back next week with 2025 knitting plans and ideas. We'll see. If you are interested in a Dicky cowl, knit along. Or I guess, it could be a knit and crochet along. There must be some crochet Dicky patterns too, probably. If that's something that interests you, please do leave a comment. Um, I think it's a fun idea, but we do need kind of like a critical mass of people that might actually participate. So definitely leave a comment if that is something that is of interest to you. And if you enjoyed this video, please do give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. New videos here every Saturday, mostly about knitting. And if you are looking for me on social media, you can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Media Peruana. And I will see you next time. Bye.